Yo, what's up guys, my name is Nick and welcome to the French Grand Prix. We are today here for another beautiful Grand Prix. The last two episodes were fantastic. If you haven't seen them, then go check that out right now. But we won them, so we got 52 points in total, which means that we are now currently in P2 in the driver standings. Of course, my teammate was there before, but he hasn't done such a great job in the last few races. But we are taking him on our side for another few races until the end of the season. That's not for this video. We are getting into the French Grand Prix, and this is episode number 7, I think it is, of season 3. So we are not doing the contracts just yet. That is for next week. As we have a marketing department and we are getting a new rival. Of course, George Russell, we've already had a rivalry with him. And then it's just between the two Red Bull drivers. So I thought I'd go for Max Verstappen because he's of course in P1 in the driver standings at the moment. So yeah, that was my decision for my new rival. To be honest, I felt like George Russell would be a bit too easy. Like what we saw in the last few episodes with that we won. And that the only cars near us were Red Bull and Ferrari. So you can see in the standings right here that George Russell is only on 53 points. Red Bull driver Sergio Perez is on 55, and we won the last two episodes. So it's time for quali, and as you can see, it's a beautiful sunny day or a cloudy day here in Paul Ricard, and we are getting out on our beautiful soft tires, and we are starting our first lap here. To be honest, it felt like a great day to drive. I had a bit of understeer in a few corners, just like the first one, but for the rest, it was a great day with the amount of pace that we had. This was the most difficult corner for me because I felt that I got a lot of understeer. Maybe I didn't brake hard enough, but it felt like I got understeer too much into the corner, which meant that I lose around 3 to 4 tenths of time in just that one single corner. And it was going to rain in just 5 minutes time, so this is our only chance to get ourselves in the top 16. But of course, a few drivers only go out on the final run, but or maybe just a bit later in the session. So that means that we could get through to the next part. And at the moment we are even fastest with the first corner understeer, and in that fast right-hander also an understeer corner. So even though we had that, we still got into the top 16. As you can see, P8 it is at the end of qualifying one. Charles Leclerc in P1, you can see the Ferrari is quite good in a straight line, so that's why he got pole position for now. But of course, it's now time to do Q2, and I waited a bit because I thought it was going to dry up. And you can see at the moment that I want to go out onto the intermediate to set myself a lap. Then I got a notification that they said like, yeah, it's dry enough for the soft compound, so you don't need to go out on that anymore. So I went straight in and straight out. As you can see, as we are now on the soft tires, everybody is still improving. And even though it felt like a good lap, I don't know if it was my best lap this weekend, but we'll have to wait for that. As we are finishing sector 1 at the moment, everybody is still improving. We got a purple first sector on the minimap, not on the sector 1 screen. There we got a green sector, so we are improving, of course. Otherwise it would be really crazy if we didn't improve on a lap that we haven't set just yet. So yeah, this is my one and only lap that I can do. You can see George Russell at the moment in P14, but he is behind me, so he's setting a time as well. And still the Red Bulls are also behind me. So if you see Perez in P12, that means that he's just not crossed the line at the moment. But there were two drivers who didn't improve on the intermediate tires, which really surprised me. And one of them was Alexander Albon. You can see, even though he improved there, he got I think he invalidated the lap, so that meant that he didn't get through but we cross the line and we get ourselves up into P9. Is it P9? No, it's P8 even, so that's great to see. Ooh, I don't know what happened there, but as you can see, we are starting Q3. We are in the top 10, and you can see the guy that surprised me the most was actually, as we have to wait a bit, Fernando Alonso is out in Q2. He didn't set a lap on the intermediates, and as you can see, Alexander Albon, he's only 1.3 seconds away from soft compound times, so I'm really surprised by that. But yeah, let's go through to Q3 then. It's only the final 10 who go through, and we are one of them. So we are starting our first of 2 laps. We have still 2 sets of softs left, and we are going to use them both, as we are now in the first sector of our first lap here in Q3. You can see it's not the best lap, it's just a banker run. So we are trying to go as fast as possible already, so that we don't have to make up as much time in the second run. Of course, you can see everybody has already set a time, and we are now the final one to cross the line, and that's us in P9. Not that great, but of course we know that we are faster in the race than we are in quali. You can see I tried a second push lap, but I invalidated my time in the second corner. So now 1.5 minutes left, and we are starting our second and final lap here in qualifying today. As you can see, we have lots and lots of wheel spin coming out of the final corner, but that doesn't matter at all. Our run through turn 1 and 2 are more important, and as you can see, they are good. We improved by half a tenth at the moment. It's even going up to a tenth. And as we go further in the lap, you can see it's still 1/10, but eventually we will make up a bit more time, or so I hope. Otherwise we won't get ourselves into the top 6, top 5 maybe, because our car is good enough for that, but it's just we need to nail the lap to get ourselves up into that top 6. And as you can see at the moment, George Russell puts in a 129.2, and we are improving by 2/10 at the moment, and that's not even close to pole position. So yeah, we are trying to maximize our lap, and the qualifying is now complete. Verstappen in P7, Leclerc in P6. Where can we get, as we are now in between the 2 McLarens, and Leclerc goes even faster, a 128.7. I don't know where he got the time, but I put in a 129.4, and that's good enough for P7 on the grid for tomorrow's race, so that's good. P7 is still quite close to the front, so I'm happy with that. You can see 6/10 of pole position. I don't know where Leclerc found that time, but I don't think that I could get 6/10 if I even did a dream lap. So that's qualifying for today's episode. Let's get into the race.
Here we are again then at Le Castellet for another round of this year's Formula One World Championship. Renault took their first French Grand Prix win all the way back in the inaugural race in 1906, but it was another 73 years before they could take their second. I'm sure Alpine will be pushing hard to delight the local fans here today. We have 15 corners here at the circuit Paul Ricard, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, but the rain is coming down and making for a slippery racing surface. Luckily, there is plenty of runoff area available, and hopefully we'll be able to avoid bringing out a safety car during today's Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Russell, Carlos Sainz, the engineer, Ocon, Ricciardo, Ticktum and Liam Lawson, Magnussen, Gasly, Lando Norris and Albon, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda and Robert Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Stroll, Joe and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Let's talk about the engineer. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, they've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far. But whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
As you can see, it's raining on the day of the real Grand Prix, so we have to do a few laps in the wets before it dries up and we can go to intermediates and soft compound tires. It's not that interesting in seeing who starts on which tire because everybody is starting on the full wets at the moment. And we are starting in P6 right behind our teammates, so that's great to see. And as you can see now on the grid, we are lining up to get ourselves a good start. Of course, that's not possible for us in the wets because we are not used to starting in the wets. So we are losing a few positions to Ocon, to Tictum, maybe even to Ricciardo. No, that's not happening because they are fighting as well. But we are down into P8. Maybe we can overtake Tictum a bit later into this lap. As you can see, we go around the outside here. And that means that we are up into P7 once again, but I don't think that I can hold on to the pace of the guys ahead. You can see the Ferrari driver, I think that's Leclerc, who started on pole position. He is starting to create a gap already, and we have to take the other road because we just locked up and we couldn't go to the corner that we should do. So we don't get a warning, we don't lose a position. So as you can see, the French runoff works, and it even gives you yeah, no warning or no penalty, so that's great. But we've now lost touch to the guys ahead. It's 1.5 seconds in between Ocon and me, so we have to try and be as fast as possible as we have a bit of a moment coming out of there. And you can see just a few laps later in lap 3, this time we do manage to get the corner right, but we are already 3 seconds behind. We just do not have the pace in the wets. I still have to learn how to drive fast in the wets, so yeah, that's maybe something I can do maybe in the next few weeks to see if I can get myself up to speed in the wets. But yeah, that's not for today. We are trying to go as fast as possible, but at the moment you can see we lose 1 second per lap. That's incredibly much on a track like this because it isn't such a difficult track. I think if I did a lap at Spa in the wets compared to the AI, I would lose so much more. I think maybe 2 or 3 seconds. It's just crazy with how slow I am in the wet. So yeah, it's just not my video today. It's just a bit of a waiting game until it gets dry, and I'm taking the first opportunity to go onto the inters as soon as they say it's dry enough. And that's right now. So you can see everybody is staying out, but I am going onto the intermediate tires because I feel that I could be faster on them compared to what we are right now. So hopefully we can get back at Ocon and Sainz, but we'll have to wait to see what will happen there. So yeah, we are the only driver in the pits at the moment, and I feel like we could be that for a bit of time. Because it didn't feel too good when we came out of the pits, but when we came to the end of the first lap, it already started feeling great compared to what we had on the wets. So yeah, in a few laps time, it's going to dry up, so maybe the AI will stay out on the wets until it's completely dry, and then they will go on to not to the intermediates, to the mediums, maybe to finish the race. It all depends on how late the rain stops, because if it stops in lap 14, then everybody will go on to the mediums. If it stops in a lap 20, then everybody will go on to the soft. So it really depends on when the rain will stop. But at the moment, Hamilton and Gasly also went into the pits, and they are now 6 seconds behind me. So it's a great thing that we did the undercut on everybody. Still 6 seconds to Ocon as there's a yellow flag up ahead. I think that's Lando Norris, or is it somebody else? Charles Leclerc was in the fastest lap, but we are waiting to see who is out of the Grand Prix, and it is indeed Lando Norris. And as you can see, he is right there. We go wide at the exit of that corner, and you can see at the right hand side, there he is, as everybody is pitting, and you can see my teammate is just a few tenths ahead of me. So I don't know what went wrong there, but he lost so much time in the pit stop compared to Ocon, because they were driving at the same speed and at the same place. They were even fighting for positions, but at the moment they are just nowhere near each other because I think Sainz had a best pit stop, and the undercut works much and much better when it goes from wets to intermediates. So we are already halfway through the Grand Prix, and as you can see, it's still not dry enough yet. We had a moment through that right-hander, and Ricciardo gets the opportunity to try and overtake us, Alonso is also 2 seconds behind me, so he's trying to make as much as possible from this Grand Prix after starting in P16. So yeah, as you can see, Ricciardo tries to overtake me. Alonso has now catched up to us, and we are starting to form a train. It's not a DRS train because DRS hasn't enabled yet. And because Ricciardo tries to go around the other side, Alonso gets an opportunity and he takes the opportunity to get himself up into P8 for the moment. But we are still trying to stay as close as possible to Sainz. And at the moment you can see we are really close behind him. And I think that my engineer told me that he had a problem with his car. So that's the reason why we are losing so much time to Ocon, even though we are so close behind him. So yeah, it's not our day today. Because the last 2 episodes we won the Grand Prix, but I don't think that will be possible in this race, as we are now in P7 and I think it's around 30 seconds to the leader as we go down the inside and we take the overtake, or we make the overtake to our teammate, and now we are up into P6 and we go and try to push as hard as possible to maybe go and try to overtake Ocon for P5 to maximize our points here today. Because if we don't do that, then we could lose out a lot of points to the championship leader, Max Verstappen, because he's at the moment in P2. And that's way ahead of us. We are in P6. It only gets us 8 points, and Verstappen is now gaining 18 points at the moment. Or maybe if he gets DRS and ERS, he can use it all, and he can get the fast lap. That means that he get a point more, so that's 19 points for him. But we are now on lap 15, and it says that the DRS is enabled. And as you can see, we are once again looking to see where we come out compared to everybody else. We put in a purple third sector, and we come out way ahead of our teammate. He is all the way behind Hamilton in P10. So it's not a good day for us. We need to really try and push as much as possible to close the gap to Ocon. You can see lap 16 and it's 9 seconds compared to Ocon. So we are the fastest man on track right now. It was just the wets that we couldn't get our pace to. So now that we are on the dry compounds, let's hope that we can get a bit faster. Lap 19, 6.5 seconds. We are closing in massively. I think we could get Ocon. Perez is maybe a bit too far ahead, but if we could get Ocon, it's just 2 points, but maybe at the end of the season it could make the difference. As we are now in lap 22, going towards lap 23, and it looks like we are only 2.5 seconds behind Ocon, so we are closing in massively. And you can see the gap to Perez is still 12 seconds, so we are not gaining that much time on him. So I think it's just Ocon who doesn't have the pace in the dries, which means that we are getting closer and closer to him. You can see behind me Hamilton and Sainz fighting for P7. They are 10 seconds behind me. I don't know where they lost all that time. Probably because Sainz has a problem with his car. Maybe it's already fixed. I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet. But in lap 24, we are now almost inside that 1 second gap to Ocon. We can almost get DRS as we are now crossing the line to start lap 25.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Again, race in, race out, we always get that message. We have a problem with our car. Is it going to ruin our Grand Prix, and are we going to have a DNF after scoring 2 wins in a row? Yes, it is. We are out of the French Grand Prix after 25 laps. Only 2 laps remaining in this race, and we are retiring due to a mechanical failure. This is absolutely horrible. We lose so many points to Verstappen, to Leclerc, to Russell even, and Perez. So yeah, that's really not great. So let's hope that Sainz can make the most out of it, as this is our race
Great effort
over.
there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
The Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
So as you can see, Charles Leclerc wins the race with Verstappen in P2 and George Russell finishing the podium. So yeah, you can see we lose 25 points to Leclerc, 18 points to Verstappen and 15 points to Russell. That's way too much because that will mean that we have to do so much more hard work to get ourselves that championship. We got the fastest lap, so luckily we don't lose any points on that. But we are finishing this race in P21 with a DNF. We lose 23 points to Verstappen and we are now behind on him with 23 points. Verstappen and Leclerc are only 1 point away from each other, and you can see yeah, we are also 27 points behind Ferrari. That's a massive gap to compare to what was at the start of this episode, so that's not all too great for us. But that is it for today's episode. If you don't want to miss the upcoming episodes at the Hungarian Grand Prix, then like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below who I should get for my sponsorship renewals, and then I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.